Today we've made very good progress in this trench, and we've got a whole sequence of different buildings going on. Across here we had earlier on one of the robber trenches, and this clearly cut the big stone wall that we took out at the beginning of the excavation, which is now gone. That in turn overlay this stone footing, which you can see running across here. And although this isn't absolutely certain yet, it does seem to join a right angle here. And so we may have a footing running through here and the footing running across there. Therefore, a wall and a wall of a building. And this wall cuts this linear feature running across here. So we've got phase after phase of rebuilding. And you can see here the big face stones which are left from one of the phases of the buildings. So we're beginning to get some idea of the successive plans of these structures. Over much of the area, we've got this sandy layer, which you can see here. We've got here a lot of stone running through, which may be collapsed wall again, or robber trench. And running through here, we've got the beginnings of the bottom of the floor deposit. Again, very sandy, and we've gone down through the various floor levels. So here, we've got the wall trench that we got last year, and this wall trench cuts this pit. We haven't got the whole of the pit, we've just got 3 sides because we've lost it here. Therefore, this pit must be earlier than the robber trench here. And it continues to be absolutely full of oyster shell and pottery. Some of the pottery, we've got Oxfordshire colour-coated pottery, which dates from the second half of the 3rd century AD. What is interesting in the bottom of the trench is we've got some hypocaust flue tile. We still haven't found the hypocaust. It is somewhere around here, judging by the quantity of the tubuli. That's the tiles that take the hot air up the walls. Coming this way, we're continuing on this whole sequence of floor surfaces. Layer after layer after layer of floors. Almost certainly an open yard that was very often filled in. Some of this is extremely hard here, as you can see, and again here. So we've got a solid surface and worn away in places, and with other material laid on the top of it. Here we've got very solid flooring material, almost certainly opus signinum. Now, it's likely that this is an open courtyard, but it's got a very, very nice surface protecting the floor, which is continually being replaced. Again, here we've got a spread of the material. If you look in this section here, we began to get the story of how the site develops. More opus signinum here and here, but we've got these patches of sandy material which seems to run under everything over this site, and this almost certainly relates to the practice of spreading layers of sand to kind of sanitize one layer before another layer is put down and built up. In this section we've got the very ashy material, and again more of the sand. Again the surface, you can see how battered around, and this almost looks as though it's been very worn with people continually crossing across the courtyard from one range of the building to the other. Again, solid flooring material, but a slight change, because this is the area that we seem to be getting the beginning of the spread of roof tile. Possibly some incorporated into the later phases of the surfaces of the site. But here we've got a classic section in nice layers. There we've got the upper signinum. We've got another build-up of silty material. Then here, another floor layer. So here, again solid. Solid material. Roof tile, and our rubbish pit. It does seem to be deliberately layered. Oyster shell, we've still got some of the pottery. We took out the rest of the pottery earlier on this afternoon, this late morning, and they've got a whole bed of oyster shell. This certainly is the original edge of the pit, but it's been cut through by this trench that you can see here, which is a robber trench, where they've removed the stonework from this side of the building. But you can see here a very intriguing piece of the hypocaust tile. So although we haven't found it yet, somewhere in this trench there is a central heating system. This is deliberately left in baulk to try and give us an idea of the section through the material. So an arbitrary section, if you like. We are beginning here to go through the floor surfaces. Again, beautifully excavated sections. We have the 1972 overburden to protect the archaeology. Lorry loads of limestone coming over a 6-month period. Shallow at this side of the field, over 1 metre deep at the eastern side of the field to level the field up. Here we have the remains of Mr. Freeman's ploughed field. This is plough soil, and you can see there's a line just about here of where the stone starts. So from there downwards, we're looking at a whole sequence of Roman material, mainly demolition material of various phases of building. And here is the floor, which is underneath the painted wall plaster that we got last year. So if I now step up, we are removing the floor surface now here, down onto a sandy layer. It's still got patches of burning in it. And there's more burnt material around on this area of the site than anywhere else. So it remains a possibility that the hypocaust is somewhere in this immediate vicinity. Here, possibly we've got the remains of a robbed out wall, but this is yet uncertain. Although looking in the section here, you can see that the stonework is more consolidated. So moving along, big stone, and you can see that it's very nicely faced. So the wall that this came off must have been really very substantial in character. Here we've got the edge of a stone wall footing that runs right across the trench. And what's quite fascinating, and only come up today is that we do seem to have a return wall coming this way. So one wall, another wall footing, and then in between them this sand layer. To be absolutely certain, we would need to take some of this sand layer off to check that that and that are real edges. If you move on along the trench, we've got a very interesting sequence developing. Here again is the possible right angle between two wall footings. Again with another extremely nice bit of facing stone there. The continuation of that wall footing running across there. But now what archaeologists really like are superimposed sequences of wall structures. Last year we had a robber trench running at about this height right across the trench, and you can just about see the U-shape of last year's trench in the section. That cuts through an earlier robber trench, the bottom of which you can see running through here. That trench in turn cut other trenches, so we've got a whole sequence here with this trench, this dark layer running through here, cut through by that one. So you can see how, by carefully planning and looking at the material that you've found in each of these, we can build up a sequence of how this site develops.